Guys, the gateway of India. Namaskar guys, we made it to Mumbai. I'm hyped, a new country, we never been here. The two Germans, finally here guys. Who would have thought that these two guys traveled 12 out of 28 states in India, spent over nearly 6 months and even visited India twice. We traveled the country with dodgy buses, the best and the worst trains, local ferries, wanky scooters, funny Ubers, a lot of planes and most importantly a ton of tuk-tuks, which they also call rickshaws in India. We got to know the diverse culture of India, which changed drastically from state to state. We met incredibly kind people who put in so much effort for us to really experience their country and culture. We tasted one of the most controversial and delicious food cultures of the world. We even did a 30-day streak of eating all the street foods we could find here in India. And in this video we want to recap our time in India and give you our opinion as travelers on how we experienced the country and the people and give some recommendations about traveling India. We will talk about the good and the bad sides of the country and about our favorite experiences. And last but not least, our favorite food. Oh yeah! 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 The image of India is as controversial as it gets. There are thousands of videos and opinions in the internet regarding India and everything about it. But one thing seems clear, you either love it or hate it in India. So we wanted to make a picture for ourselves of how India really is and what all that commotion is about. First up, let's start with the things we would have liked to know before we traveled to India. India is huge. It takes ages to get from one point to another, so you really have to plan out your itinerary to get enough time for every stop of your trip and don't get caught up in too many long travel days. India is a culture shock. India is not for beginners. This statement is really true, as the massive cities, the huge crowds and the drastically different culture can be very overwhelming for beginner travelers. The weather in India gets really crazy, so definitely pack accordingly to the season and don't get surprised when you get caught in huge rainstorms or crazy hot weather. Listening to the advice of the locals is definitely a must in India. There's just so much to do and you really have to look out so you don't waste your time and you get to experience the really nice things and the great foods India has to offer. So let's talk about how we did like India. What was good and what was bad. To talk about that, we have to keep in mind India is controversial as it gets. Some people like it, some people hate it. But one thing is for sure, India is not for beginners. And these are the 5 things we love about India. For number 1, we definitely have to talk about the food. The food culture in India is incredibly diverse and super delicious. The flavors that the Indian food culture offers are out of this world and nothing alike what we have in Europe. So this is definitely the most important part of an India trip. Eat as much as possible. For number 2, we would say that India is super safe to travel. In these 6 months where we traveled the whole country, we had no dodgy situations at all. People are very friendly and we had not one time where we were worried about our safetyness. For number 3, we would definitely say the culture is an incredible thing in India. It's really unique and we have never seen anything like it. So for us it was really incredible to experience this culture, especially stuff like Kamakya temple or celebrating Holi were amazing for us. And it was super interesting to see that as you change states in India, the culture also really drastically changes. So that's a big thing to keep in mind while traveling in India. Number 4 is definitely people are very kind and welcoming. You will not have a hard time to meet new people in India because Indians are very open and interested. So you will always have some nice conversations on the go. And last but not least, India is really affordable to travel. Especially the local foods and the local stays were really great and still affordable. Another big thing for us was that we rarely got hustled or scammed, so that's also a big upside. However, like in every other country, there are also bad sides which you have to address. For number 1, as we already said, India is a culture shock. And for some people that may be just too much to handle. Especially if you arrive in the big cities like Delhi or Mumbai. As a traveler, you need some time to adjust to what's going on, how big the cities are, how loud, and unfortunately also dirty. For number 2, trash is a big thing in India. To have trash in big cities and slums is one thing. However, for us, it was very sad to see that even in the beautiful nature places India really has, like the waterfalls and all the beaches, there is just too much trash laying around which destroys the environment. We really think the government here has to change something that this will not happen in the future.
For number 3, the people in India are very approaching. This can be a good but also a negative thing, because everywhere you go as a tourist you get approached and you get asked for pictures, and for us personally it was not too much, but I believe for many people this can be very irritating. Another thing to mention here is that in India there's a big touch culture, especially in between men, so if you make friends or talk with locals, it's very likely that they touch elbows with you or lay their arm around you.
Let's continue with our favorite experiences we had here in India.
We had many amazing times in India, but if I have to name one, I will definitely have to go for the VPL opening match that we saw in Bangalore. It was crazy to see the Indian cricket enthusiasm. It was an amazing day, super nice atmosphere. The people were so hyped, so that's definitely my number 1. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to the IPL, but that's definitely a thing we have to do when we're in India again. But this day was just so memorable for me because the people were in such an amazing mood, and you Indians can really party and go hard when it comes to sports.
From all the time we spent in India, my most memorable day was Meghalaya. Our nature trip with Karikor, where he showed us the incredible waterfalls of Meghalaya, was just amazing. Karikor, our friend we got to know in Meghalaya, totally saved our trip here. Even though we just knew for 2 days, this guy took holidays and showed us around in the whole state. This really showed us how important it is to connect with the locals in India, and what big advantage it can be when you have someone who actually knows the place.
But if we talk about favorite experiences, we definitely also have to talk about the food here in India. My favorite food was definitely the dosa. The dosa comes in all variations and I really like all of them. Be it masala dosa, Mysore pak dosa, cheese dosa, they were all great. I think it's the best all-rounder snack in all of India. You can eat it as breakfast, lunch and dinner. So really that's just my number 1 thing with all the nice chutneys, especially the coconut chutney, guys. If you know, you know. Dosa on top, guys.
My favorite food in all of India was definitely the pani puri. A flavorful mouth explosion. I have never in my life tried something like this. And trust me guys, we ate a lot of weird stuff. It's definitely a must try if you come to India. You cannot leave the country without having it tried once. I still remember the first time we saw it and I was completely shocked that they put water in a crispy ball and then eat it in one bite. Also, I think it's one of the most famous street foods in India because you can see it everywhere. You won't find a street without a pani puri stand in India, that's for sure.
So guys, now we come to what comes next. As you see here, we have mostly traveled the south and northeast part of India. You can see there's a lot of states missing in the north of India, especially around Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and all those states up top there. So that's definitely a region of interest for us where we 100% want to go in the future. So the next time we come to India, you can be for sure it's gonna be a trip through the north. So if you have any suggestions on what we need to see while we go to North India, definitely leave them here in the comments. However, as of now, we have already come back to Germany, back to our home, and we've actually started our studies at the ESM school in a remote study program, guys, so we can now be for certain we're gonna travel the next 3 years and take you along on our journey, so we're really hyped for what's coming up next.
One thing is for sure, our next country is gonna be a different country than India, but of course one that is interesting to discover and has been on our travel list for a long time. And as always, we're gonna take you guys with us and show you guys as much as possible. But to sum this up, we are really grateful for the experience we had in India and for the long time we spent there. We really met incredible people, had incredible food. We learned a lot about the Indian culture and the country itself.
We are really glad that we traveled to India and made a picture for ourselves of how India really is and did not listen to the mainstream media, which often portrays India way worse than it truly is. So we really hope this video clears a lot of that stuff in the internet up and you enjoyed our opinion about India. This time in India has been really valuable for us, not only as persons but also as content creators. We learned so much about ourselves and also about our new passion. We really hope you enjoyed our India series and you also saw the development we went through in the past year. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and we really do appreciate all the recommendations and great suggestions you gave us during all this time. It really would have not been possible without you guys. We would have seen so much less of the country if it wasn't for you. So that was our recap about India. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. As I already mentioned, please give us some recommendations for destinations in North India. Also, you guys can let us know if you like these type of videos where we recap our travel stories. We're also thinking of creating a podcast where we talk about all our travel experiences. So guys, it would be really nice if you could like, share, subscribe this video to support the channel. But for now, that's it guys. Be hyped for the next video. Oh yeah!